Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. I want to talk about narcissism. I want to help you understand the way that narcissists think. I want to help you figure out what you can do if someone you know or someone you love is a narcissist or you suspect that of being the case. And I want to start with, how to tell if that's the case. So the signs that you want to look for are that you always feel like you're questioning um, what's real. It's clear that there's an issue. Something isn't right. You don't get along super well. It's not like you never have arguments. No matter who this person is in your life, whether it's a friend, family member, spouse, partner, and any even in work. If it's just someone that has access to you, you may find that every interaction with them, you never really know what you're going to get. You almost feel like you're gambling just by being around them. Sometimes they're really nice and really friendly. Other times they're in a terrible mood and they're going to make it your problem. This may cause resentment if you don't confront them about it, but what happens when you do confront them is that they're going to not admit that they did anything wrong. They're going to try to convince you that it's all in your head. They might try to convince you that not only is it all in your head, but you're actually the one causing problems. If it wasn't for you, there would be no problems. So that is a huge sign that you're dealing with a narcissist. Anytime you feel like someone is trying to convince you that the abuse is not really happening, or that you're actually the one being abusive, that you're the only source of the problem. And when it's someone that you think loves you, that's the problem. Someone you love too. It's that you want to believe them. You want to believe that, they have your best intentions at heart, that they really care about you, and that they value the way that they interact with you. They don't just take it for granted and assume that they can treat you however they want to treat you and do whatever they want. But this is not the way that narcissists think. The way that a narcissist sees the world, let me first tell you the way the world actually is, and then I'll tell you how their perspective differs. So, the reason my channel is called Philosophical Psychology, if I change the name at some point, all you need to know is that's what it was called at the time I made this video. Um, the reason my channel is called that is because I believe that philosophy and psychology are extremely important to connect. Because if a psychologist understands, why humans do what they do, what goes on in their head, all the names of disorders, and they understand basically what's going on in a human's head, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to help, because a lot of what can actually help people is moral philosophy, philosophy in general, understanding what all of this is. What is existence? What is human? What is the point of life? What is all of this? If you just toss that to the wayside, you are really leaving behind a lot of tools that could help you figure out how to communicate with someone. But we try too hard to be respectful of, different spiritual and religious beliefs. We just let someone be an atheist, let someone be religious, whatever it is, and we don't actually try to incorporate philosophy into it. And I think that someone who is interested in psychology should also be very interested in philosophy, because you don't have to convince anyone that your worldview is accurate. All you have to do is get a detailed enough understanding of philosophy to know how to explain it to someone in a way that could help them see things differently. So I'll give you an example of that. The way that I believe the world actually is, and I think most people could agree, we all share a planet. We all are living here at the same time. We're all part of the universe. And if you think about it logically, everything and everyone in the universe is almost like cut from the same cloth, part of the same thing. And everything that happens affects something else. Every time you do something, it causes a ripple effect. Like a fish in the ocean moving, the water moves, then that affects, a million, like a butterfly, the butterfly effect, a butterfly flaps its wings on the other side of the world and causes a hurricane. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Every little thing you do matters. And the reason that that should matter to you is because it comes back to you. And there's evidence of this. It isn't just a belief. It literally does come back to you. You will notice the difference. And if you start behaving as if your actions don't matter, the way you treat others, the way you treat the world around you doesn't matter, you're going to notice that the way that you are being treated, the way that your life turns out, kind of reflects that. You're going to be very isolated. You're not going to have any real meaningful connections with other people. And that's the way that narcissists think. They don't think that the way they behave matters. They think that they actually do matter more than everyone else. And most normal people don't think that. They understand that if you matter, then I matter too, and vice versa. There is no reason that I matter any more than you do. There's no reason you matter any more than I do. And yet, there are people out there who don't understand that. That's a narcissist. That's someone who thinks that the world kind of revolves around them. And they literally cannot wrap their heads around the idea that that's not the case. So, um, narcissistic personality disorder is not something that you're born with. It is something that develops after you're born, and therefore you should not have any sympathy for these people as if they have a disorder. It's not like, oh, well, they can't help it. No, they can. They absolutely can. They're choosing not to. So don't let anyone convince you that they're helpless. It would be nice if you could prescribe a pill for this. It would be nice if it was something that you could treat and think of as like a clinical diagnosis of like, oh, we gotta give this person something. There's no pill for being a narcissist, because the cause is the cure, and the cause is the decisions that you make, the way you choose to see things. No one is born this way, so there's nothing anybody can really do. Even a therapist can only get you so far. Maybe a therapist who's interested in philosophy could get you slightly farther, but even then, it's up to you. Like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. The narcissist has to choose to think differently, to be more empathetic. And, they have to understand why that's worth doing. And that's fair. It is important to understand why you should be bothered to do something. I think that empathy is important, but I think that it can be logical too. And, if someone cannot be convinced that it is in their best interest to value empathy and the way that you treat others, to be considerate and compassionate, then, then what actually is the point if there is no logic in it? That almost sounds like emotion ruling over logic, which we don't want. That is what leads to destruction in the first place, is people thinking that they can just listen to their emotions. And that, I think, is what narcissists are actually caused by. They're not using logic. They're just sort of in survival mode. But I don't want to break down the psychology of a narcissist, because this video isn't for narcissists. This is a video for people who are dealing with a narcissist. So this should help you understand the way that they see the world, excuse me, and how it differs from the way you might see the world. And this should also help you understand when you are dealing with one, to catch the signs. So mainly just if you feel like you're going crazy, if you feel like something is wrong, but you can't quite figure it out, and they have you convinced that you're the only issue, you know, I know it would be easier to believe that, and I know that even if you figure out that they are a narcissist, you would love to believe that there's something that you can do, some prescription you can get for it, or, send them to therapy. You can try to fix them, you can try to work on them. But the truth is, no one wants to be treated like they need fixing, like they're broken. So, the way that a narcissist would handle this kind of situation, they're just going to play along. So, what you need to understand is that the best medicine for a narcissist is the absence of other people. They see other people as a means to an end, tools to get what they want. And like I said, it's like handing alcohol to an alcoholic by just being around them. You are giving them their ammunition. You're giving them something to do, a toy to play with. And they don't take it seriously. They may trick you. They're very good actors. A lot of them are sociopaths. They don't experience emotion normally. And again, a sociopath is not someone that is just born that way. It's a choice. It's based on a series of decisions that were made as they were growing up. It's caused by factors, environmental factors, but nothing will ever take away your free will to choose right over wrong, to choose empathy and compassion over fear and control. So, it's understandable why someone would make these decisions. However, it doesn't make it okay. There are a lot of understandable decisions, like someone's inconveniencing you in some way and you don't see any way to get out of it, so you kill that person. That's understandable, but it's still wrong. And there was another option that maybe that person just didn't see. And maybe it was offered to them, but they didn't trust it. That's why it's important to have integrity. And that's why I incorporate philosophy into this, because I think that's what it's connected to. Integrity is connected to philosophy. You need to have a clear set of beliefs and values so that you're not just going to say, oh, well, it would be convenient for me to compromise my values right now, so I'm just going to do that because I don't see any other way. If you truly understand why what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, you're never going to be willing to compromise it. You're going to trust it. And that is super important. So you get a little spiritual when thinking about stuff like that, but that's for another video. Um, so let's talk about what to do if you figure out that someone is a narcissist. Just leave. Seriously. It's that simple. I literally could make a short out of that and have it be 5 seconds because there is not much else to say about that. People try so hard to do something about it when there is nothing to be done. The best thing that you can do is just throw hands and walk away. And I mean fully. Block them. Don't make it possible in any way for them to contact you. And if you find that you can't stop thinking about them, do a cord cutting exercise. I know that's kind of, spiritual, but I promise you it does help. I'll put a link in the description to a class called Relationships, Boundaries, and Cord Cutting. I know the person who made it on a personal level. I trust her. Um, so, but if you don't want to do that, at least do the other things. At least block them, make it impossible for them to reach out to you. The cord cutting will kind of be like the final way to sever that connection. But if you don't believe in that, that's fine. Just make sure that you're not contacting them. Stop yourself if you find yourself willing to do it. And if you really feel like you can't help yourself, you might want to try the cord cutting. But, this is why it's a problem, because people, they don't realize how much is going on energetically, that there's a literal energetic cord connecting you and this person. And if you don't sever that, they can just think about you, and all of a sudden you're thinking about them, and vice versa. And you may find yourself wanting to contact them. You may find yourself like unblocking them and stuff. But if you cut that cord, that'll go away, and they'll know that you did it. They'll feel it too. So, and then in that case, from that point forward, you cannot reestablish the cord by reaching back out to them. You have to leave it dead. So, this person, if they're really a narcissist, there's nothing you can do. They have to do it themselves. And it's unlikely that they will, but they still can. And that should be enough for you to know that you're doing the best thing that you can for them. You have to grieve. It's hard, I know, especially if it's someone that you really cared about. But they are not going to get better if you keep indulging them. That's just going to make it worse, because in their mind, they're playing you. Even if you take them to court, or you try to send them to therapy, you do something where you're engaging with them in a way that you feel is, necessary, or maybe it's helping you, it's helping them, whatever you think. But any unnecessary interaction with them, maybe you need to sue them. Maybe it's a situation in which they have something of yours and you want it back. That's fine. Keep the interactions to a minimum. You deserve it back from them, and know that they are going to give you as hard of a time as they possibly can just to spite you, but you deserve it. Get it and move. Just get out. It's not easy, but it's the only solution. You cannot try to change these people or fix these people. Sympathizing with them, trying to take care of them, they just see that as you falling for it. Even you combating them and yelling at them, trying to diagnose them and say that you're a narcissist and you need to do this and you need to take accountability and blah, blah, blah. I see a lot of this online with people that they don't even know. I mean, I see people do this to like celebrities and try to call celebrities narcissists and accuse them of gaslighting people. You cannot gaslight someone indirectly. It is a very specific manipulative tactic that people use on each other. A celebrity isn't going to be gaslighting their fans. That's a completely different thing. And people get really weird with this kind of stuff. I've actually noticed a lot of narcissistic tendencies in the people who are accusing celebrities of being narcissists, but that's a separate video. And honestly, if you have that mentality, it's understandable. Like I said, a lot of this is understandable. Nevertheless, it's not right. And I don't ever want to be afraid to call something out for being wrong just because it's understandable. It doesn't matter, what's wrong is wrong regardless of whether or not I get it. So don't take it personally. If you do any of the things that I mentioned in this video, Don't be hard on yourself. Don't judge yourself. My channel trailer at the moment is called Can You Love Yourself Too Much? I would recommend watching that video. It's super important to understand that self-love is not a bad thing. Narcissists don't love themselves too much. The issue is that they don't have a healthy connection to reality and why the way they treat other people does actually come back to them. So it is about you. And if you really love yourself fully, you will be empathetic toward yourself and toward others. It feels better to not be on guard, to not be cynical, because what you're doing is you're essentially isolating yourself. And thinking of other people as tools prevents you from thinking of them as equals, and then you can't have any meaningful connection. And you've stunted your own growth. You can't evolve with them because you've basically decided that where you are right now is where you're going to stay mentally, which is why a lot of these people are quite immature and young mentally. They're very on edge, ready to defend anything. They're not at ease because they're very cynical and judgmental of others, therefore of themselves. I guarantee you, the issue is not that they love themselves too much. Um, so loving yourself too much is not a bad thing. There's no such thing as loving yourself too much. As if you should always love yourself enough to be kind and empathetic toward yourself and others. Don't judge your thoughts. Don't judge your behavior. It's not going to help you change it if it's bad. Maybe you are hurting people. You're not going to change that by judging and hating yourself and not even being willing to admit it to yourself that that's what you're doing. You have to be willing to let go of fear and control. That's ultimately what it comes down to. So that was a little bit of a tidbit for people who are narcissistic because, like I said, it is super common and you're not born that way, which means even if you aren't a narcissist, you may have some narcissistic tendencies, and that's okay. Don't judge yourself. Just try to notice it and do something about it if you care, if you can find it in your heart. You deserve it, and so do the people around you who have to interact with you. Um, you deserve their company, their actual, authentic company. You deserve to have them be around you, not because you are good at manipulating them, but because they just want to. They enjoy your company as much as you do theirs. And it's unfortunate that narcissists are never going to know what it's like to have a real connection with someone to that level. But, in regard to this whole celebrities thing, that has gotten way out of hand. It's ridiculous how many people are throwing the word narcissist around like an accusation. And the reason that I want to talk about that, I think to close this out, is because you are not supposed to be playing their games. Let's say, hypothetically, that there was a celebrity who was a narcissist and trying to use their tactics on their fan base, on the general public. How would it help to attempt to call them out? It's what you hear a lot, call them out, and make them take responsibility and take accountability. It's like they have this idea in mind that they can somehow right the wrong situation. But the reality is, if you truly do believe that that celebrity is a narcissist, there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. So just, move on with your life. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't mean that you have to take them down, that you have to, dismantle everything that they've built, because that's their own karma, If they really are, operating at a lower vibration, they're gonna have consequences for that. It's not just gonna go unnoticed. You don't have to deliver those consequences because it is not happening to you. Just because you liked them at one point and were aware of their existence, they were not aware of yours. At least not personally. They were aware that they had fans. They didn't know you were one of them. So it is not your personal responsibility to get that upset and try to attack them. It's fine to like someone. It's fine to try and defend someone. And it's also fine to try and make sure that you're holding someone accountable. But you have to know when you are crossing the line and becoming obsessive. And I see a lot of obsessive behavior, mostly with the people who are holding people accountable. I think in defending someone, it's a little better because at least in that case, you're trying to be a little bit more optimistic. However, sometimes that can come from a lower vibrational place of, not wanting someone that you were putting up on a pedestal to be a bad person, not wanting to see the reality of it. So as long as you're not denying reality, and as long as the person you're defending, you're not doing it because you feel like, who would I be without this person? It's coming from a place of fear. If it's coming from a place of love and compassion and consideration, that's okay. But people don't tend to make decisions coming from that place because people are very fear-based and negative and cynical. So just be willing to see that within yourself. And I've talked about cancel culture a lot on my other channel, but on this channel, I'm a lot more focused on personal growth rather than just, cultural stuff that's going on in the world. Um, so yeah, I think I've wrapped it up. Basically, don't try to play games with a narcissist. Don't try to help them. They just see it as you playing their game, and there is no winning. If you're gonna play, you're automatically losing because it is a losing game. The only way to win is to not play at all. So just pack up your shit. Don't even say goodbye. Don't don't try to explain why you're leaving them. Just leave. If you know that you're not being treated right and you have noticed a pattern of them not really admitting to you that they weren't treating you right, there's nothing that you can do about that. You just have to go. So look for the signs that I mentioned, and if that turns out to be the case, I know it's hard, but you have to do it. There's help. You can reach out to people. You can get a therapist. There's things that you can do to help with this situation. But one thing that you should not do is to ignore it and just let it be, because clearly something is very wrong. You wouldn't be here otherwise. So thank you very much for watching. Right now my upload schedule is Tuesdays at, excuse me, I keep burping, Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And I appreciate every like, comment, and subscription. I'm a very small channel at the moment, but I'm trying to grow, so I really appreciate every bit of interaction. And if you are interested in the cord cutting class I mentioned, the link should be in the description. So have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll see you next week. I also might start doing live streams on the channel. Not sure yet. Have a good rest of your day or night, and thank you very much for watching.